Hello, my hosts, and welcome to another editing live stream. Well, in this case, it's going to be a recording live stream, and yes, chat's not on the screen for the moment because I'm going to be doing some recordings first. But hi, New Haven, and I am sideways because I record sideways because I get more of my image this way. And I get more pixels. That's the intent anyway. That's why I'm on a green screen. Now, just take a sip. I'm going to just make sure that's there. Okay. Let's do a test recording and see if the sound comes out good. Do that. We can then add two arguments. One, a lambda expression that never terminates, which I am writing as a skull and crossbones. This gets called for the true value, and we will return 1 when it's called with the false value. We're using 1 just as a thing that terminates. Okay, recording stopped. I'm going to play back and see if that sounds terrible, or if we've fixed the issues we have with audio. Where are we? There. Sort by date. Where is today's date? It wasn't. It wasn't the files corrupting. It was my audio settings being wrong and the sound clipping really bad. So it sounded really distorted, like I was, like it was a person playing COD, basically. Why is this taking so long to just sort through a list? 20th. Okay, I'm going to play back. That sounded right. I'm not sure if that playback came through on the stream. That sounded pretty good. All right. Well, since we've got the first recording done, we'll get the second recording done. Yep, blah, blah, blah. You cannot hear the callback. Oh, that's fine. Another thing that we would like is that every mathematical fact should have an answer. If there is some property, if there is some property about a number, we should be able to create a proof to show that it is true. If that number lacks that property, we should be able to write a proof that shows that it's false. There shouldn't be anything where if you ask a math question, you get the answer. It's perfectly fine either way. You decide for yourself. This is a property called completeness. Confusingly, there's a different property called completeness, which is completely unrelated, well, somewhat unrelated to this, but it's another thing that Gödel studied. In order for a formal system to be complete, every logical statement has to be either provably true or provably false. Second recording done. Okay. Let's edit that into the thing then. Just a second. Oh, I put it on the... There it goes. Fire up the editor. Second, and we should be able to do some editing. For real this time. All right. Now, is it going to crash on me? Sometimes it crashes on loading, and I have a workaround, but... All right. There we go. Let's change myself so I'm vertical and properly aligned. Settings. Oh. Why can't you see me? Ah, there I am. Ah. All good. Okie dokie. We'll load those in and we will get started with them. So, first things to do is copy them out of that directory and into that directory. Out of here. There. I guess so. All right. We are in that mode. Oh, we are in cut mode. Okay. So we flip over to that. Create a new timeline using clip. Oh, this is going to be correction 1. And we'll play it back. Oop. Editing tool. Yeah. I have a separate little doodad that allows me to scroll through. We can then add 2 arguments. Oh, okay. Cut mode. There it goes. So split that off. delete that. We can then add two arguments. Split there and contract that. Right, that. We should add two arguments. One, a lambda expression. Oops, I cut off the S a bit aggressively there, and it didn't actually change the meaning of the word. We can then add two arguments. One, a lambda expression. Okay, tighten this up slightly. That never terminates, which I am writing as a skull and crossbones. This gets... split that there. This gets called for the true value. And we... yeah, that's the little weird pauses that I do. Called... there it goes. Called for the true value. And we will return one. Yep. Bring that in. And we will return one when it's called with the false value. There it goes. Like that. When it's called with the false value, we're using one just as a thing that terminates. There. We're using one just as a thing that terminates. And we can ripple delete that. Once I remember where I put it on. There it is. All right. First bit of cleanup. Now we go this one. Create timeline using select clips. Correction 2. Another thing that we would like. Yep. Actually, let me go to correction 1. What happened to it? There, I just realized I forgot to go like that and go smooth cut, 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 smooth cut. Just hides the cuts a little bit. There. Okay. Back up to, think, how do I go out of here? Like that? No, it's a page up. How do I navigate when I'm in that mode, in the media pool mode? Ah, go source. Okay. Ah, that gets the sources. always discovering new things about the tools that I use. Aha. There. Correction 2. Okay. So it's still in that project. How do I find it? Bin list. Did it get dumped all the way to the master? Oh, we've got search. Let's go. They made a new Thomas and Friends game? Oh, really? Why is it? Let's go into the media mode. Let's see if we can find it. There's correction 1. Ah, okay. That's correction 2, which seemed to be dumped in the wrong spot. Let's move that there. Correction 2. What? Why is that showing the wrong thing? That's better. Okay. Let's play this back. Another thing that we would like is that can I get the another thing that we would like? Yes. Our like is that why isn't that showing that fully? Can I change how it's displayed so it looks better? That'd probably be in the settings. File. Project settings, maybe preferences. That's all set up right. User, playback settings, Fairlight editing, UI settings. No. Timeline options. Play. Okay, trim to audio, yeah. Ripple on, that's always. Apparently not. Okay. Is that every mathematical fact should have an answer. If there is a some property, if there is, okay, should have an answer. So we remove that where I stumble across my words. Answer. If there is some property about a number, we should be able to there. There, we should be able to create a proof to show that it is true. That one's better. Show that it is true. If that, hey, that number lacks that, another weird space there. That trimmed back. Number lacks that property, we should be able to write a proof that shows that it's false. There shouldn't be. There we go. All right. There shouldn't be anything where if you ask a math question, you get the answer. It's perfectly fine. Hey, that break needs to be removed a little bit. And you get the answer. It's perfectly fine either way. You decide for yourself. This is a narrow that back. This is a property called completeness. Here's where I go on the unscripted rant. Completeness. Confusingly, there's a different property called completeness, which is narrow that down like that. Why are you resisting? Which is completely unrelated, well, somewhat unrelated to this, but it's another. And there. But it's another thing that Gödel studied. Okay. Narrow that in as well. In order for a formal system to be complete, every logical statement has to be either provably true or provably false. There. All right. Actually, in multivariable, multi-truth value systems, it could also be provably the third value. Let's go to edit. Good. A roll. It's not there. This is where we having a function that returns its first argument if true and its second argument as false. We can then package this up. Okay. So this bit is where things go wrong. We can then package this up into a new lambda function where our skull and crossbones is a lambda function that loops forever. Since th is a lambda expression, we can okay. So get rid of all of that. might have to adjust the timing. Check there. Okay. Let's put it on audio track 3. Why did I... There. Right. Switch off linked selection. Click on that. Delete that because I don't need that. We can then add 2 arguments. One, a lambda expression that... Alrighty. This is going to be painful. Okay. So, can we lock this track? Yes, we can. Lock that track. Select all. Move that so it lines up there. Move you back. Oh. Like that. I'm going to have to extend that out to there and fix that one's animation. I'm going to have to do some work on the audio balance between those 2 tracks. Okay. Unlock that. We can then call in lambda calculus that a Boolean works and its second argument as false. We can then... Okay, I'm going to have to correct the audio balance between those 2. Yep. Now, where's the other red mark where we need a correction? You think it's here? Yeah. Another thing we would... Okay, there we goes. Like that. Chain this property of all true statements being provable is also called completeness, but not the completeness. It's called... In order for a formal system to be complete, every we can't cheat and use... Okay, and we can't rely on proofs coming from some sort of the final thing. Okay, that's where we cut it off. So mark that bit. We would like it to be consistent. If we can prove another... That's where we start from. Okay. Go like that. We don't want that to be modified. We delete everything inside there. We do that? Yes, we can. All right. This one we do need to extract. So correction 2. We bring in here. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's correction 2. Okay, you split there. Split there. We flip that on top. What the hell's going on there? Hello? Oh. Got a bit of an overlap. Let's shift that back. That forward. Oops. Joint linking. Can you? Like that. Okay. Another thing that we would like. Good. Put that like that. Oh, why? Why did that? Oh, there. Now we can select it. Have I stretched? No, I haven't, and I should. Let me do my stretches. No 3D for this one, since I can't do that while I'm here. So let's do that. Thank you for reminding me. All right, let's move these back in. Oh, I did that stupid thing. Hold on. Undo that. Alt-Y to select them all. And just grab and slide everything back into place. All right. Another thing that we would like is that every mathematical fact should have an answer. If there is some property about a number, we should be able to create a proof to show that it is true. If that, get rid of, we probably still need to mark these as needing correction because we're going to have to fiddle with the audio. We should be able to write a proof that shows that it's false. There shouldn't be anything where if you ask a math question, you get the answer. It's perfectly fine either way. You decide for yourself. This is a property called completeness. Confusingly, there's a different property called completeness, which is completely unrelated, well, somewhat unrelated to this, but it's another thing that Gödel studied. In order for a formal system to be complete, every logical statement has to be either provably true or provably false. Dealing with the final thing we would. Okay, gotta fix that up as well. I'll make a little provably false. Dealing with the final thing we would like to do in a formal system. Actually, if we go if we just remove this, shorten that out. What the? Okay, that's all selected. Provably false. The fine. Okay, if we move myself up slightly here. All right. There. Like that. Then that transition doesn't look as bad. Yeah, the transition entering it doesn't look so bad. We'll correct the audio when we do the audio pass. All right. Practical uses. I think you already know where this is going from. All right. And at this point, I think I'm going to take a break for lunch and continue this offline. So let's get back to my main room. Hold on. Can we do that? No, we can't. Okay, we'll have to go for the green room again. Thank you, everybody, for joining me as I edited my script. Well, not a script. Edited my video and added corrections. Tomorrow we'll be back into doing some RimWorld, so I hope you'll be able to join me for that. And sorry about the fact that I couldn't put your words on screen. Again, limitations of what I was doing at the moment. Always, first time watching, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you all later. Goodbye.